The Locker Room, with all the sports news you need, live.
Well, hello, very good evening to you, and welcome to the Locker Room. This is the third show of the week. Then we've been busy with a transfer window on Tuesday night, so I quite enjoyed that. So thanks for tuning in, and we got a lot of views on Tuesday night, so that was good. Between 10 and 12. So we're back for another weekend of busy football action, rugby action as well, and maybe a bit of Olympics as well between now and 7 o'clock. My name is the one and only. I am the one and only. Sorry about that. Mike McShane, and the one and only is Graham Duffy. How's it going, Graham?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm all right, mate. I'm not quite chasing the Hawks, but I'm doing all right. My wife and kids are away to Aberdeen tonight, so I've pretty much got an empty. I feel like Kevin Bridges.
Oh,
loving it.
Yes, loving it. So there's an after show party in Graham's house, but the competition is you've got to find it first. So by the time I'll find it, your wife will probably be back or something. So we're here until 7 o'clock. Don't forget you can comment on anything that we're talking about on YouTube and Facebook Live as well. We're here until 7 o'clock. And you can follow us on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie, and you can keep up to date with everything that's happening to do with Scottish football or anything to do with Scottish sport, actually. So you are watching us on Indie Penguins Live and listening to us on Indie Live Radio. And as I said, we're on until 7 o'clock. Right, Graham, let's get kicking. Let's get straight into it now. And we have got some breaking news, actually, apart from three people watching the show, but that's not the big news. The big news broke about half an hour ago, I think it was now, and you might have saw on the Locker Room Twitter that Queen's Park might be booted out or ejected, or whatever you want to say, out the Scottish Cup by fielding a regular player against Inverness. And Queen's Park is now out of the Scottish Cup game after fielding a player was signed not on time. And you were saying before the show it had to be a Hearts man. It was Ewan Henderson.
Yeah, this gives me vibes of the Andy Irvine when we played Cove Rangers in the League Cup, and he was ineligible, but we never got kicked out. We just got points deducted. But yeah, they've made a statement here following a disciplinary tribunal. Queen's Park have been ejected from the Men's Scottish Cup for a breach of competition rule 12.5 relating to player eligibility. Easy for me to say. Livingston will now face Inverness Cali in the 5th round. So I think originally Queen's Park I think the original game was postponed. Ewan Henderson was signed on loan from Hearts after that first date that was postponed. He then played in the next game, the one that wasn't postponed, and he shouldn't have played in that. Now, it's unfortunate. It was a technical error by the admin. They obviously haven't realised that. And on the back of that, Queen's Park won that game by 2-0. But on the back of that now, obviously, there was talk a few days ago that this might happen. And obviously, before we came on air, it was announced that they would be kicked out. So I do feel sorry for Queen's Park in a way. But, you know, as somebody said to me, them's the rules. So it's just unfortunate. But Livingston will now take on Inverness instead of taking on Queen's Park. So that's next Saturday, I think that is. So it'll be a difficult game no matter what. But I do feel sorry for Queen's Park.
Inverness will take on Livingston at the Tony Macaroni Arena on that Saturday, the 11th, is that, Graham? Yeah, 11th. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think about it? I mean, the Queen's Park fans will be up in arms, but in saying that, they should know what they were doing. So somebody's got to have a lot to answer for in the kind of like Queen's Park offices.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just a administrative error, but unfortunately, if you make an error like that, this is going to happen. I do feel sorry for the Queen's Park manager. I feel sorry for Henderson as well because they've obviously had no idea that was the case, and I'm guessing that Queen's Park didn't have any idea either. It's just one of these things that's, unfortunately, it's happened. They played really well against Livingston as well. Not Livingston. They played really well against Inverness, and now, unfortunately, now they've been kicked out. So it's a shame for Queen's Park, to get kicked out of the cup because of a mistake. It's disappointing, but as I said, it is the rules, so you've got to abide by them. And I unfortunately don't think this will be the last time this is going to happen because mistakes happen.
I was just saying to Graham there before he came on there, I don't know if anybody knows in the comments, but I think that decision should be taken to VAR, Graham, because obviously everything else is taken to VAR as well. So it's going to add a bit of spice to the game tonight here, United. Obviously, we were going to talk about that game, and we will. But just after hearing that news about Queen's Park, it's going to add a lot of spice to the game tonight because Queen's Park would want to go out there and put on a good performance. I'm looking forward to the game, Graham. It should be a good game.
Yeah, I mean, first against second, and there's only 1 point in it. And obviously, we know from the transfer talk on Tuesday that Queen's Park have just lost Simon Murray to Ross County, which is a big, big blow. But Queen's Park have been outstanding, and I've said plenty of times in the show, as I did with Arbroath last season, I would love to see Queen's Park come up. I think it'd be a great story. We all know what Queen's Park are. We know the ambition they've got. So I would love to see them coming up. This will be a difficult game. Ayr United have been very impressive. Obviously, they've now beaten Cove Rangers twice in a row in the league and then the cup, scoring a lot of goals. I'm actually quite surprised that Dipo Akinyemi probably wasn't sold in January. I thought there might have been a few clubs after him, but he stayed, which is a good thing for Ayr United. So, yeah, this is potentially a very good game. I think because it's at home, I do fancy Queen's Park to kind of stretch the lead, but it's a massive, massive game. I mean, it is really, I keep talking about the Championship as one of the best leagues I think I've seen. It's brilliant, very competitive. Even look at the games tomorrow. You've got Arbroath against Wraith, Hamilton, Dundee, Inverness, Morton, Partick, Cove. So there's a lot of decent games tomorrow as well. But this game tonight has the potential to be a very, very good game of football. I think, again, it's on, I imagine it's on BBC, like it usually is for the Championship games. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how this is going to go. But I do just think that Queen's Park, with a bit between their teeth, and after this news that came out earlier on, I think they'll be really up for this.
Yeah, Queen's Park has won 12 games going into this game, but I mean, I've been impressed with Ayr United as well, Graham. I mean, I'm a bit like you. Obviously, we don't get to see them every week, but once they've been on the old TV, they're quite a good side.
They are, they play to their strengths. There's no doubt that Dipo Akinyemi is a fantastic player, and they try to play to his strength. He's physical, he's quick, he's got something about him. But they've got other good players as well. They do play a lot of decent stuff, and I think tonight is a potential to be a very good game. And for anyone that's watching this, I hope I've not just jinxed this, but it could be a very, very interesting game. It could be a decent, high-scoring game of football because both teams want to attack, both teams want to score goals. So I don't think it'll be a 0-0 draw. Famous last words, I might have just jinxed it there. But yeah, it should be a decent game tonight. But I do just think that Queen's Park, being at home, and obviously having that disappointment of what's happened today, I think they'll be up for this. But Ayr United have been very impressive. And I think, for me, if Ayr United were to finish second and get in that playoff place, I don't think the team in the second bottom of the Premier League would fancy playing them because they're a very, very good side.
Yeah, I mean, I hope you've not jinxed it now, Graham, but I don't think so because looking at how many goals Queen's Park has scored already this season, 44. That's incredible.
So they know what they want to do. They want to score goals. They want to get the ball down. They want to entertain. And Queen's Park have been around for a long, long time. They are an institution, and I would love to see them coming up. It would be fantastic if they did. I think I said a few weeks ago that I've heard a lot of folks saying, "Oh, it'll be an absolute disaster if they come up." I don't agree. I think they'll be a welcome addition to the Premier League. I think they give a lot of teams a lot of problems. So I think Queen's Park have done very well, and they're doing it. You know, I think me and Dave spoke about this last week. You look at Gretna, that was all about Brooks Milson. That was one man putting the money in. Queen's Park are doing it the right way. You know, Willie Hockey's he's a really good businessman. They've got plenty backing behind them, so they're doing it the right way. And I think if they come up, it would be absolutely fantastic. And I personally think it would be an absolute fairy tale.
Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game, I think, Glenn, right? Because Ayr United has scored 46 goals already this season, you know. So, but if it's 0-0, I'll be phoning you about 10:15 tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I know their last league game was against Cove and they won 5-0. And again, Cove have not been particularly great. Paul Hartley's on a bad run there. Maybe probably thinks they shouldn't have come back. But Ayr United are a very good side. I mean, the battle of the top two, you know, a lot of focus gets put on the Premier League, obviously rightly so, because it's the biggest league. But looking at that championship, that game tonight, you know, the top two going head to head, it's a really, really decent game, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to the game as well. I mean, it just shows you, Graham, that if you pump money into a football team, it would come good for you.
I mean, it doesn't always work. You know,
No.
things can go on. You've got to sign the right players. They've got to fit the system. They've got to have the right kind of character. I heard this a lot about managers and that, saying that when they go and sign players, they have to be the right character as well as being a good player. And I think Queen's Park have done that. You know, as we said on Tuesday, it was a surprise that they let Simon Murray go. He's been fantastic for them. I think he'll score goals at Ross County. I have no doubt about that. But, you know, Ewan Henderson's gone to Queen's Park that we just talked about. And I think Ewan Henderson, I don't want to be harsh, but I think he is a championship level striker. He was never going to be good enough for Hearts. He was never going to be good enough for the Premier League. I think he will score goals in the championship. He scored goals for Alloa. So with the service that he's probably going to get at Queen's Park, I can see him scoring between now and the end of the season. I can see Henderson scoring between 10 and 12 goals, I think. And I wouldn't be surprised if he scores tonight if he starts.
There's really nothing in it, Graham, right? Because when you look at Ayr United has won 11 games to Queen's Park's 12 games.
Yeah, I mean, it is so tight at the top of the league. Even like Queen's Park, Queen's Park, I think even Partick in fourth could still potentially win the league. And they've been on not a great run recently. And there's still a lot of Partick Thistle fans not convinced by Ian McCall, which does seem mental. But yeah, the championship is a very competitive league. And again, I've said before on the show that whoever goes down from the Premier League will find it very hard to come back up because it is so competitive there.
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, it'll be a good game to watch as well, you know, and a good advert for the game as well. So I suppose that we could say that if you're not doing anything tonight, you need to go. I take it the games, are they still playing at Hampden? And I know that you and James was talking about this the other week, but I thought they moved into Lesser Hampden, or is that next season?
Hang on, I can tell you. I did have it up 2 seconds ago because I was checking this.
Right, okay.
I'm sure it is Lesser Hampden. I might be wrong, but
yeah,
just double check.
Lesser Hampden's a nice wee skiggum, and all that, but it's been done up now.
They're playing at Oakville View, Stennis Muirs Park.
Right, okay. Oh well, a bit further away then. But get down if you can, because I mean, it would be good to see the both of them come up, Glenn, because I know I'm much younger than you. I'm just a wee baby compared to you, but I've never, well, possibly you as well, Glenn, I've never saw Ayr United or Queen's Park in the top division. Maybe Ayr United in the early 90s, but, you know.
No, I've not either, and Hashbury Stumble says go the Spiders. But I think I mentioned this to Dave and maybe yourself last week as well, whenever you were on, but I kind of like the kind of old-fashioned grounds. I like the fact that you know, Ayr United's ground, you can still stand at the terracing, and it's like an old-fashioned proper ground. similar to Arbroath and stuff, and I do kind of miss that. I would love to see these brought back again. I know it's not going to happen, and I know why. You know, the Hillsborough stuff and that. I can understand why it's all seating stadiums now, but I do miss, like, when I used to go to Tynecastle in the like early 80s and 90s, standing in the shed or standing behind the barriers and stuff, and it was great. And I like the fact that a lot of these grounds, like Somerset Park and Arbroath and that, have still got that. I think that's great. And I would love to see them. I think I agree with you. I would love to see both Queen's Park and United come up. Whether we stay in the league, I don't know, but I think they'd both be a welcome addition.
See, that's the thing about the Scottish Cup game, the last round, the third round, because you get to see the kind of grounds, people standing, watching the football, but also at training as well. I mean, I don't laugh at people standing in the rain or sitting in the rain, but there's something special about that, because when you go to Tynecastle, when I go to Ibrox and Parkhead to watch the games, you kind of miss that, but in the same times you don't, because the other week I was at Hampden for the semi-final against Kilmarnock, and I was absolutely soaking. I thought I was playing water polo at one point, but there's something special about even watching Darvel the other week against Aberdeen.
Yeah, it was great, and to see the fans like quite tight to each other, and the way they celebrated that was absolutely fantastic. Hashbury Stumble says, you might describe me as a former Jags fan, but only because my old fellow used to take me to Firhill for thrills. You know, I just think these grounds in the Championship, League One, League Two, I kind of like the fact that they are still quite old-fashioned grounds, and you can still stand behind that barrier, you know, on the terrace, and it's great. That's what I was used to as a young man, which I wish I still was, but I'm not. But I used to love that, you know, going with my dad and my brother and that, standing behind the barrier at Tynecastle, and it was great. It was absolutely brilliant. But as I say, I do understand why we don't have that anymore. Completely understandable. But I do like the fact that in the Scottish Cup, you're still seeing all those grounds that are still very old-fashioned. And like you said, talking about Darvel, I mean, that was the atmosphere there was absolutely fantastic. Not for Aberdeen fans, but to see the Darvel fans celebrating like that was just incredible. And the Scottish Cup for me is still the best competition for me. Yes, league is great, finishing third, whatever, is brilliant. But I still love Scottish Cup days. I still love Scottish Cup third round, Scottish Cup fourth round. It's brilliant. I still really like it. And
I'm looking forward to see the cameras going back to Darvel next week for the Scottish Cup tie. And also, it's on a Monday night as well. So beware of your Falkirk fan, because you know what happened the last time they played a Monday night, Graham.
Well, I mean, could you imagine, right? Let's just say, for example, if Darvel were to beat Falkirk, and imagine in the next round they got like Celtic or Rangers or whatever, that would be incredible. I mean, that would keep them going for years, the money they would get for that. It would be amazing.
Hasperley Scumberley came back in and says, which teams are the top of the Championship? Can success challenge the bottom teams in the Premier League? In the bottom of the Premier League, and I think he's right by just looking at the goals the two teams have scored compared to, was it Ross County and Kilmarnock, is it, in the top division? I think they would give them a run for the money, Graham, especially Ayr United, because of that kind of like derby feel as well.
Well, you've only got to look at Dumbarton, who I think are in League One, and they were very, very close to taking a penalties against Kilmarnock. I think potentially, I genuinely believe that if Queen's Park went up against a Kilmarnock or a Motherwell just now, I think they give them a game. And I think the same with Ayr United as well. I don't think the gap between the top 2 or 3 in the Championship is that different to the bottom 2 or 3 in the Premiership. I really don't. I think they would give them all a game. Obviously, when you get a bit higher against the top 6, you're going to be struggling. But I generally think that those teams at the top of the Championship could give most of the teams in the bottom of that Premier League a really decent game.
Okay, let's just run through the rest of the games. Before we do so, a wee bit of chat in the chat. Where did that come from? You can tell it's been a long week. Gordon Hunter says, as a Kerry fan, Sorry, I mentioned United. Yeah, sorry. I hate the job of the boys thinking that the roundabout of managers and our favourite commenter on YouTube comes back in, has put Scumberley says, Darrow were top class playing against an attractive football last week. So hopefully the same next week on the show as well. We're trying to get the Darrow manager on the show. Mick, I can't remember his second name offhand, but
McKenna, Michael McKenna.
So hopefully, third time lucky, we'll get him on the show this week. And next week, he's been a busy boy, Grim. He's been, every time you've been turning on the TV, whether it's Sky or BBC or whatever, he's always been on. But the only show he's not been on is the best show, and that's our show. You meant to agree with me there, Grim.
Of course I'm going to agree.
Yeah, I didn't like that pause there as well. So, can we start the show again? No, we can't. Let's look at the other games tomorrow then in the championship. So we've got Queen's Park Ayr tonight, Graham. Tomorrow night we've got Arbroath against Brave Rovers, Hamilton against Dundee, Inverness against Glen Morton, and Packet Fizzle is at home to Cove. Now, if you before speak about the games, Graham, Hamilton's just put a tweet on Twitter saying we are playing Dundee tomorrow in the championship, 3 p.m. kickoff. And if you want to go to the game, the adults are £20, under 18s and over 65s. £10, and you can get your tickets online for the game tomorrow if you're heading around to New Douglas Park. I think that's maybe changed as well. That's Skegum actually. The name I can't keep up. They always keep up changing their names every 5 minutes. So what do you make of the games? What's your standout of the championship tomorrow?
I think potentially Hamilton Dundee could be a decent game. Hamilton, they're sitting bottom of the league, but they do, again, they try and play decent football. I mean, they've got a massive cup game against Hearts next week. They're not expected to win that game. I hope they don't, clearly. But that could be a hard game tomorrow. Dundee sitting third in the league. Again, they are potentially could be challenging for the title. They're not that far behind either, so that could be a big game tomorrow. If Hamilton can win that game, it could be a really big 3 points for them. But I think Dundee might just be a little bit too strong for them. I think Inverness against Morton, again, you'd imagine Inverness at home, but it's 5th against 6th, so a potentially difficult game that. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals in that game. But for me, I think probably Hamilton against Dundee. And I do, again, I'd like to see Arbroath picking up a few more points because I'm a massive fan of Dick Campbell. Obviously, they've got Wraith Rovers tomorrow. Again, another really difficult game. But at Gayfield in this, if it's like this here tonight in Pennycook, where it's wind and rain, that could be a really awkward game. So, but I'm looking at Hamilton Dundee game thinking if Hamilton could win that game, that would be a huge 3 points for them.
Okay, so we always like to look on in the championship, and don't forget, if you can't see the game tonight, we will look out for the Locker Room Twitter page after the game, and we will put up the score between Queen's Park and Ayr United. Right, Graham, let's jump in to the Premiership, and there's only one place you start tomorrow is and I know that you want to speak about Hearts. I've got a few questions I want to put to you as a Hearts fan after the game they're on there against Rangers. But
we have
first, yeah, so that's part of the course, mate. Yeah, so Aberdeen against Motherwell tomorrow. This could be very interesting because Aberdeen needs to get a win, and Motherwell would need to get a win as well because obviously they get beat the other night against Johnson, but they've not been really playing well. Do you think Stevie Hamill is under a bit of pressure?
Well, seemingly one of the, I think one of the players, or maybe Stevie Hamill himself, said the players are behind him. Now, I was going to say that, but they're on a very poor run. You know, they've not been picking up results. Another, disappointing result from them on Wednesday, where they lost 2-0 at home to St Johnstone, and they've not won a league game since October, and they've not won at home since August. Now, that's not Stevie Hamill's fault. Graham Alexander was there before, but he just can't seem to pick up wins. This is a huge, huge game tomorrow. Two teams that are struggling massively. I don't know what to make of this game. I generally don't, because both teams are struggling so badly. At home, you'd expect Aberdeen to win that game, but they went down 3-1 on Wednesday. What I will say is, and I've had a beam of bonnet about this as well since Wednesday. I wasn't hoping to talk about this, but I'm going to. VAR again plays a massive part. For me, that Ross McCrory sending off is an absolute joke. That's not a red card. Charles Dunn actually fouls McCrory first. He puts his arm out to try and foul him and block him off. McCrory did raise his hands, but it's accidental. He doesn't mean to catch him. He's trying to lift his arm to kind of shove him out of the way, and he's caught him accidentally. How that's gone to VAR and how they've given that as a red card is absolutely laughable. And I said this on Twitter. It's never a red card in a million years. And the amount of mistakes that VAR are making recently is an absolute joke. You just go back to the Nicky Clark one last week against Rangers. Willie Collum doesn't get asked to go at the monitor for that. Willie Collum doesn't get asked to go at the monitor for that, and he sends him off. Ryan Jack, he goes to the monitor and doesn't send him off. But now, Nicky Clark's red card gets overturned. So how stupid does that make Willie Collum look? I mean, these decisions are just baffling, and that one on Wednesday for me was never a red card. If you think it's a foul, fair enough, but it's not a red card. So, I mean, I just think it's an absolute joke, and that didn't help Aberdeen. They're down to 10 men against the St Mirren side, who are a decent side. Curtis Main, 2 very good goals. And isn't that, what a shock? 2 ex-Aberdeen players, Curtis Main and Declan Gallagher, are the 2 that scored the goals. As if Aberdeen fans didn't think it'd get any worse. That happens. But yeah, I mean, Motherwell going there on a lack of real confidence, to be honest. I don't think they did enough in the January transfer window either. I thought they needed to strengthen in certain areas. Aberdeen have strengthened. I know a couple of the new boys played on Wednesday, but it didn't make any difference. But when you're down to 10 men, it's difficult. But I just keep going back to that decision, and that VAR decision was absolutely ridiculous.
I think that I think the only disagreement I would make with you is that I totally agree with you. It was a bit soft, but when you elbow somebody, you go like that, right? When you see it again, he doesn't make a shape, if that makes sense. A shape that's maybe not a word to, you know what I mean, to elbow somebody. But I think the only disagreement that I would make, Graham, is no matter if you lift your hands, your elbows, or whatever on the park, it's like a red card. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It was a bit soft, but if you lift your hand in any shape or form, it's a red card right away. Well, according to some refs, that is.
Yeah, I mean, he's not deliberately tried to elbow the guy. He's just trying to kind of brush him out the way, and he has caught him. There's no doubt about that. But that's not a deliberate elbow. And Charles Dunn is the one that tries to block him off first. It's a free kick for Aberdeen. So to see the referee then go to the monitor and send him off was an absolute joke. But this has been happening all season. We've moaned about, well, I certainly have, moaned about VAR all season. Yes, it's going to work in your favour. And sometimes it's not going to work in your favour, but that for me is not a red card. And we talked earlier on about ticket prices. Gordon Hunter said people are so strapped for cash. It's insane. £5 all round, and possibly people will go to games. For me, it's 40 miles, so 80-mile round trip, just not viable. Do you know what? Before I came on air today, I mentioned that my wife and son are going to Aberdeen, so I thought about going to the game tomorrow, the Hearts Dun United game. Now, I've got to get the bus in to town and then walk on to Tynecastle. Now, it's probably about an hour, maybe less than that. But I checked the ticket prices for tomorrow, and a couple of the tickets are £30. I'm not being funny, but £30 to watch a game against Dundee United, that's an absolute rip-off. Don't get me wrong, I love my club, but to pay £30 for a home game against Dundee United, it's an absolute joke. I'm not going to pay that, no chance.
That's a euro now, Graham. That's a standard in Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the cost of living crisis as well, like £30, that's like, and you still got to go there. I know that you don't have a car, so like you might have to go for a bus, and and when you get the Skigum, you might buy a pie, or you might buy 2 or 3. No, I'm
Do you know? It's quite funny. It's quite funny because Ashbury Stumble did say who ate all the pies. It wasn't me.
right, okay, yeah. But I mean, yeah, so it adds up them as well,
The thing is, I think St Johnstone fans had it right not that long ago when they had that banner 20 is plenty. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, no, exactly. This is not the most exciting game of the weekend, Graham, but it means something, and it definitely means something a bit more to Aberdeen. I mean, there wasn't, apart from them scoring the penalty on Wednesday night, they offered very, very little. Well, that we could see in the highlights.
I think the one thing I would say about them, and this doesn't say a lot for Jim Goodwin, I thought the Aberdeen players showed a little bit more fight and kind of application than they have recently. Now, Barry Robson's coming as interim manager. He won't get the job full time, I wouldn't have thought. I think they'll bring somebody else in. I know there's been talk about our Poland manager maybe coming in. There's obviously been talking Neil Lennon coming in. I don't think that'll happen. But they did show a little bit more fight. They were 1-0 down. They go back to 1-1. And then, again, I wish Dave was on the night because, again, defensively, so the 3 goals they lose. The first goal is a set piece. And Majowski actually starts off marking Curtis Main and then just leaves him. And Curtis Main scores. The second goal is even worse. The ball's into the box. Curtis Main is unmarked. He's actually got time to take a touch, turn, and score. That shouldn't happen. I know you didn't remember. That is so bad. And then the third goal, we've seen it numerous times from Aberdeen. Again, a corner kick comes in. Declan Gallagher rises unchallenged and scores. It's just poor defending from Aberdeen. And that's something that Barry Robson is going to have to try and sort out. But I do think they showed a little bit more fight and desire than they have recently. And again, you can talk about Jim Goodwin. And I think I said this last week to Dave on the show on Sunday. I did feel sorry for Goodwin. When you watched him walking off the park against Hibs, I expected that music to come on. The one that goes all by myself. I expected that to come on as you saw him walking, trudging off behind the Hibs players. But I did feel a bit sorry for him. But I just think, those Aberdeen players have got to take a look at themselves and say, are we doing enough? And if they can look at themselves in the mirror and say we are, then they're lying because they're not doing it anywhere near enough.
Well, when I was thinking about it today, Glenn, right, I was thinking to myself, well, usually when a manager gets sacked the next day, what happens? They go out and win the game and play well. But that wasn't the case. So it says to me as though that wasn't Jim Goodwin's fault. That it's the players' fault. That the players has got to take a long, hard look at themselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Jim Goodwin can't say that he wasn't backed by Dave Cormack. Dave Cormack gave him a lot of backing. And, he signed a lot of these players and they've not done enough. I think some of the players have been okay. Like Duke, for example, has been decent this season. Majowski had been a bit of form, but he's been okay. They bring back Graham Shinney on loan, and again, he's been all right. I think he cares, but there's too many of those players just, for me, look like they down tools under Goodwin, and that's never a good thing. Yeah, Goodwin had his faults, no doubt about that, but a lot of those players just didn't do enough.
You know what I've been wondering since last Saturday night when I saw that on the TV, Graham? Do you think Jim Goodwin had a wee suspicion about he's going to get sacked? That's why he arranged a taxi to be out there, because where was he going?
I've got no idea, but I mean, I think the fact that he was given the kind of that backing of Dave Cormack to basically say, do you know what, you're still on the job just now, but results have got to change. But the thing is, had they beaten Aberdeen or had they beaten Hibs last week, then what? Does he then get one more game? And if they lose that, then he gets sacked. I don't think he should have been put under that much pressure. He should have sacked him after Darvel and after the Hearts game when they got beat 5-0. I felt he was like a dead man walking, to be honest. And that performance against Hibs was an absolute joke. And I think probably at 2-0, he probably thought, yeah, I'm gone here. He could have probably walked out then. But just watching him walking off behind the Hibs players doing their warm down, I did feel sorry. I did feel sorry for him. Yeah. But it clearly wasn't working. I mean, they've got to get this next appointment right. You know, they experimented with Stephen Glass, it didn't work. I thought Jim Goodwin was a good appointment, and again, that hasn't worked. They can't afford to get this next one wrong. But I think as well, there's too many experienced players on that side that have not done enough. Johnny Hayes hasn't offered enough. There's experienced players in that team have not done enough. So I think it's a collective. And this game tomorrow now is going to be huge. I don't know what the attendance will be like tomorrow. If Aberdeen fans will turn out, I don't know. But this is a big game for Aberdeen and Motherwell. I potentially think this could finish in a draw, and I think both teams will probably accept that right now.
What about Motherwell signing a new player, Jack Atkinson from Celtic? Graham, do you think that's going to boost him a lot? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think was he not the youngest goal scorer at Celtic as well, like 16 or something, Jack Atkinson? Yep. I haven't heard his name. I haven't heard his name for a long, long time. So when his name was mentioned on the deadline day, I was like, oh, he's back.
Apparently, he was down in the championship, but also because I was listening to him today that he played for Forest Green as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's more experienced now. I think he'll be a decent signing. I know they also signed James Furlong, a defender. I was going to make a harsh joke about Furlongs on Tuesday, but I thought none of them are going to bother. So I'll leave that now. But yeah, I mean, potentially two decent signings, but I think they needed more. He won
it by a nose.
I mean, they have to start picking up results. The performances are really poor. I said probably weeks ago that I was worried for Kilmarnock and Dundee United. I'm now worried for Motherwell because they're going to get dragged into that relegation zone. There's no doubt about that. They're not winning games. They're not scoring goals. They're conceding too many goals. They were poor on Wednesday. St Johnstone thoroughly deserved to win that game. And Stevie Hamill must be looking at his shoulder thinking, could I be the next one to go? But again, they need a bit of stability. But Motherwell need to start picking up points. And whether that happens tomorrow, I don't know. It's two teams on a really poor run. I don't know how this game is going to go tomorrow. I really don't.
Let's move on to the Hearts and Dundee United game. I'm scared to find out what Graham's thinking. Graham, I've not spoke to you since Tuesday night, and obviously I saw the score on Wednesday. I've got some comments to make about the game as well, but what was your overall view on the game?
Well, I've only got about an hour and a half left, so I'll try to keep this brief. So on Wednesday night, one of my mates, I'm in a message group with a couple of my Hearts mates and stuff, and one of them said to me, what's your prediction? Now, he went 2-2, and I did say, and I wish I put a bet on this now, I said 3-0 to Rangers, because our performances against Rangers are usually quite poor, and I've got a lot of Celtic fans that follow me on Twitter. Shock horror. I do know some Celtic fans apart from you. And they, after the game, said, your performance against Celtic was so much better than against Rangers. Why is that? I honestly don't know. I thought Wednesday was awful. I thought Robbie got it tactically wrong. He basically, when the team lineup came out, the first question everyone asked was, who's in midfield? Because we only had Robert Snodgrass, and he basically played Snodgrass, Garan Quall, who's an attacking player, an 18-year-old, and Barry Mackay, who has never turned up in these games. It was the wrong formation. Now, I said before that I would love to see Hearts attacking Rangers, and I think he did try with that team, but it didn't work. There was far too much space, far too much time for Rangers players on the ball. We didn't press, we didn't harry. And you can see after 5 minutes how the game was going to go. Robbie should have changed that formation after 5 minutes. Again, I said this on Twitter, Morelos never has to work. He never has to score, have to work for his goals against us. He just seems to score all the time against us. And it was so poor again. The game was done. You know, Xander Clark saved that from being 6, 7, 8. You know, I think they had 3 offside goals as well disallowed. We were awful. And our performance against Rangers got to change. But we had been on a decent run before that, 10 games unbeaten. But Wednesday was so poor.
Graham, do you know my thoughts on the game, right? When I saw the score and I saw the highlights. Now, how many times has Hearts had a game on Sunday when we've been on the show against Aberdeen or against Hibs or, against the other teams apart from Celtic and Rangers. Sorry, Angie, if you're watching this. And they play well. They dominate the game, right? But what I want to know from a Hearts fan is, how concerned is it when you go up against Celtic or Rangers, whether it's at Parkhead or Ibrox, and you do not turn up? You can turn up against the other teams, against Dundee United, Kilmarnock, and dominate the game and win the game comfortably. But when you come up against Celtic and Rangers, why is it? I mean, because Hearts is a good team as well.
At Tynecastle against anybody, Celtic, Rangers, Motherwell, Hibs, I'm expecting Hearts to take the game to everybody we play. And I expect that of every home team. When you're at home in front of your own crowd, I'm expecting you to take the game to the opposition. Hearts against Celtic and Rangers don't tend to do that. We tend to be a bit too much, show a bit much respect. Now, against Celtic a few months ago, we actually competed quite well against Celtic at Tynecastle. We lost 4-3, but we competed well that day. Against Rangers, we just seemed to fall apart. It's like we show too much respect. I go back to that cup final last season. We offered, apart from Ellis Sims' chance about the first minute, we offered nothing. And these performances have got to change. Now, again, I think Robbie got the tactics completely wrong on Wednesday, the way that he played. I can understand what he tried to do, playing like 4 attacking players, but it was all wrong. Rangers were cutting through us, and I felt sorry for Snodgrass. Every time he looked up, he was like, what am I meant to do here? I'm on my own here. We're like against 3 Rangers midfielders. So these performances are concerning. And listen, I did a Twitter thing last night, and I did say that I am not for 1 second Robbie out. He's done a great, great job. But performances and results against the old firm need to change. And we don't play Rangers now for a while, probably till after the split, unless we get them in the cup if we get through against Hamilton. But these performances have got to change. And when you go to Ibrox and Celtic Park, I know and I understand you're going to be on the back foot because they're far better teams. They've got far more money. They've got far better players. But at Tynecastle, I'm expecting us to give everybody a game. And we just don't do that against Old Firm. And that's just not a Robbie Nielsen thing. That's been happening for years under different managers and different players. And it happens far too often for me.
Robbie Nielsen said today we had 10 undefeated games, but as good. We lost the game on Wednesday night, but we've got to move on. Some Hearts fans might disagree there. The challenge of being at Hearts or any big club to just win the next game, that's it. You win the next game, and then you win. You've got to win a cup game, and then you need to win that. And the next game after that, you will need to win that as well. We don't look too far ahead of ourselves. We're just looking at tomorrow's game against Dundee United. That was Robin Nielsen's comments. Graham, do you agree with him there or disagree? Or
No, I mean, he is right. We have to bounce back, and I think we will tomorrow. United will be a hard game. They've improved dramatically under Liam Fox. But again, this is not a Robbie bashing thing here, right? But what I will say is, on Wednesday night after the game, I would have had more respect for him had he said, do you know what? That was on me. I got that totally wrong. My formation was wrong. I shouldn't have done what I did. But he kind of laid the blame at the players for not carrying out the game plan. I didn't agree with that. Yes, the players were poor. A few players had off days. Stephen Kingsley, who I love, was very poor. Barry Mackay, again, in these big games, was really poor. But Robbie got that wrong. And if they come out and said, do you know what? That was on me, I'd have had more respect for him for that. And again, what I will say again, and I'm not having a go at anyone here, but in the 10 games that we've had undefeated, we've not played well in all of these games. We've won them, but we've not played well. And I said this on Twitter the other day, I don't know the last time that Hearts started the game really well. We tend to start games very, very slowly. Now, listen, if we're winning games and not playing well, I'm delighted. I'm taking it. But I would love to see us play a 90-minute performance. I've not seen that for a long, long time. Tomorrow's a very difficult game. I think Robbie will make changes again. I'd expect to see a few players coming back in. If he's fit, I think Cammy Devlin comes back in. Michael Smith comes back in. I am going 4-4-2 tomorrow. I'm changing the formation and going 4-4-2. Because again, what I don't like is the fact that Lawrence Shank can just drop in so deep. He's newly in goal. Lawrence Shank is a 20-goal-a-season striker. Play him up front. Stop playing him so deep. But I do expect a reaction tomorrow. It'll be a difficult game. I like what Liam Fox has done at United. You know, they obviously got beat by Kilmarnock on Wednesday night. Stephen Fletch missing that penalty, a really good penalty, but it'll be a hard game. But I do expect us at home tomorrow in front of that crowd. I do expect a reaction tomorrow.
What would you prefer, Graham? I know you said earlier on we competed well against Celtic and we still get beat. What would you prefer, Hearts playing badly and winning the game, or Hearts playing well and getting beat?
That's a difficult one. I mean, I want to win. Of course I do.
Oh, no, sorry. I don't mean like... I just mean like against Celtic and Rangers.
Well, I've said before, and I'll repeat it again, but I would rather lose having a goal than sitting back and getting beat. Now, when I said on Wednesday when the team line came out, I thought that is quite bold because he's got 4 attacking players. He's got Garan Qual, he's got Shankland, he's got Mackay, and he's got Ginnelly there. But the way that he played them didn't work because Garan Qual was basically playing as a defensive midfielder. That's not his game. He's an 18-year-old laddie who's got bags of pace and he's an attacking player. That was wrong. Barry Mackay, again, was playing very deep. That's not his game. You've got to play players at square pegs round holes. You've got to play players in the right position and stop trying to be smart and try to be clever and changing things to suit the opposition. And I think he did that on Wednesday. And Rangers played very well. There's no doubt about that. They deserved to win that game by 6 or 7. But that tactics that Robbie tried to play on Wednesday didn't work. And he should have changed it far earlier than he did.
Yeah, I just thought, well, you know, Hearts are playing well over the weeks that we've did the show, especially when they were playing Europe and they were playing on a Sunday. But when they come up against like the big two in Scotland, they seem to struggle, and I don't know why that is. Because Hearts has got a decent team. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said this in the show, like Snodgrass and Barry Mackay, and your favourite person, Andy Halliday, as well. But they have got some decent players. But I mean, I don't know why they let the Hearts fans down and Robbie Nielsen down as soon as they come up against Rangers and Celtic.
This, for me, isn't just a Hearts thing. This is pretty much every team in the Premier League. Now, St Mirren did it against Celtic a few weeks ago. They played really well and they won the game. But for me, yeah. I think there's a mentality issue with teams when they come against the Old Firm. I think they've lost before they go in the park. They look at the team, they look at the budgets, and they think, we can't win this game. But it's 11 against 11. I think for me, if I was a manager, what I'm saying straight away, this is why I'm not a manager, but I'd be saying straight away, see when that first whistle goes, get that first tackle in, get a hard but fair challenge in early on and let them know that they're in a game here, that they're not going to have it their own way. That doesn't happen. As soon as teams come up against Rangers and Celtic, they just go, wait a minute, they're far too good. We can't win this game. It's a mentality issue. And it's happened numerous times. And it happens at Hearts all the time.
That's a fair point you make, Graham. And that might be the first time we agree on something. No, but see this way, like David Martindale was asked yesterday about the tactics going into the Celtic game on Wednesday night. And Livingston basically parked the bus, but what he did say yesterday was we showed them respect by, sitting behind the ball. But I'm thinking, well, why is that showing them respect? Because you still get beat.
That's not showing respect. That's showing fear.
Yeah.
If you're sitting behind the ball and parking the bus, you've got no intention to try to win that game.
But I would make a better game, as you say, if you go to Ibrox Parkhead and make a first tackle or have an early corner kick in the game, it might give you a lift. I'm not saying that Celtic, Livingston or Hearts, when they go to Parkhead, Ibrox, will win the game and dominate the game. That's not what I'm saying. But, show them, show them that you're there to put up a fight for the game. Because if you go like that against Livingston, the game seems to be a bit dull at times.
I mean, you'll have seen it yourself. I've seen it for years that Hearts come up against Celtic and Rangers. It's like, we've lost this game already. There's no point in this. And I think, listen, there's absolutely no doubt Celtic and Rangers have the bigger budgets. They've got better players. They've got, Ange Postecoglou is a fantastic manager. But it's living against the living at the end of the day. Go and stamp your authority on the game. Go and make a couple of challenges. Go and make it hard for the opposition. And that doesn't happen. I've seen it numerous times, especially at Tynecastle. Like on Wednesday there, Rangers had so much time on the ball. They had so much possession on the ball. I'm looking for a Hearts player to go in there and go bang and really hit somebody really hard.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen. And it's not just Hearts, it's every team in the Premier League. Go and win your individual battles. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen. And teams just, when they go up against Celtic Rangers, they just have the mentality issue of, they're better than us, we're going to get beat. And that shouldn't be the case.
By the way, Michael Beale must watch the show, Graham, because he made a comment to the Daily Record, and you would agree with me. And I said Kane Tuesday, I'm quite surprised because the game's not on the TV, but he said to the Daily Record that the game should have been broadcast live on TV.
I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah, but that's a fair comment that is made,
Listen, I can laugh about it now, but it's a big game. You're talking about second against third, and it's not on Sky Sports or whatever. It's an absolute joke. Again, I think you said last week the only reason that one of the games was on was because the FA Cup was on in England.
Yeah,
let's be honest, Sky don't care about Scottish football unless it's Celtic and Rangers. But that game, that should have been on Sky, I think. But as I said, I'm glad it wasn't because it saved me the embarrassment of having to watch that.
Hearts against Dundee United tomorrow. What do you think of Dundee United quickly under the management of Liam Fox?
I think they've done okay. Obviously, they've still got a lot to improve on. Again, they weren't maybe overly active in January. I do think Stephen Fletcher's a really good player. It was a poor penalty on Wednesday, really disappointing effort. But I do think I can see what they're trying to do. I think Liam Fox has done a really good job so far. Even against Celtic last week, they competed really well. They obviously got beaten them, but they competed well. And I think that's the one thing they have to do is just try and compete and stay in games. Hearts Dundee United games recently have been very high-scoring games. They've been very entertaining. The one thing I do fear is every time we play them, we seem to get injuries. So hopefully tomorrow that's not the case. But I think Fox has done a really good job. I like him as a manager. I think he comes across very well. I think he's passionate about what he does. But I do think that Hearts will react tomorrow. I've already said last night, I think Hearts will win 3-1. I'm going to stick with that. But it will be a difficult game.
There you go. 3-1 to Hearts tomorrow, Graham says. And if you say Graham at the game, buy him a pie.
Or two.
And, yeah. Or two is that. Has for the scum. Keep your comments coming in on Facebook. No, we're not. You can comment on Facebook Live or YouTube. And we're here until 7 o'clock. And you can leave a comment on Twitter at the Locker Room Indie on Twitter. Right, okay, Dick Graham. Let's move on to the next game tomorrow. Livingston against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock Mega. Now, Graham, you can't kiss people on the show. I know that.
Give me 2 seconds.
So while Graham kisses someone, I will speak to you about the game tomorrow between Livingston and Kilmarnock. And I think I'm going to take that to VAR, Graham, that kiss that you've just made. I know it's coming up for Valentine's Day and all that, you know what I mean, mate, but, it's the family show.
It was only my laddie.
All right, okay. Well, yeah. Well, I should maybe edit that bit out, but
they're on the way to Aberdeen, so we're just seeing them off while they go.
Ah, right, okay. So hopefully they get off okay, and hopefully the weather's not.
I've got an empty.
And Graham's got an empty, and Graham's got to finish the show now because he's got to party himself.
I'll be getting the 80s music on very, very shortly. Trust me.
The 80s music, yeah. Well, Steve B's on tonight, so I don't know if he'll play any 80s music. Maybe not on Indie Live Radio at 7 o'clock. Livingston against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock, was it a surprising win on Wednesday night?
I think it probably was because of the fact that they lost Kyle Lafferty, which was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. And obviously, Ollie Shaw left as well. They've not strengthened in the forward area. But I'm going to watch the highlights. They deserve to win the game. You know, apart from the penalty that Fletcher missed, I thought come on it with a far better team. Missed a few really good chances. I'll tell you what, the goal from Daniel Armstrong is a fantastic finish. Very, very good goal. And he's been one of Kilmarnock's shining lights. I think he's been very impressive whenever I've seen him. So it was a huge win for Kilmarnock, and they did deserve it. I don't know if I was surprised because I think at home they do compete really well. But as I say, when they lost Kyle Lafferty, I thought, they might struggle here. Now I know that they can sign free agents after the window, so that might be what happens. But Kilmarnock have kind of got themselves out of trouble a bit. They're now sitting 9th, so they've got themselves out of trouble. I do still worry for them a little bit, but that again was a massive, massive win. And I think tomorrow, and I don't want to go on about this, and I know I'm probably going to get ripped apart for saying this, but honestly, that Livingston pitch is horrendous. Trying to play football on that is an absolute nightmare. Watching the Hearts game last week, listen, it was a dreadful game. But some of the touches you could see, the touches were absolutely awful because that pitch was so poor. And I've seen a couple of folks say that it shouldn't be allowed in the Premier League. Now people might not agree, and that's fine. But I genuinely, the state of that pitch was awful. If a junior side in Darvel can have a really good pitch, why on earth can't teams at Livingston have a better pitch? Because that is a disgrace.
You mentioned about Kyle Lafferty there, Glenn, is a free agent, and they might join Linfield. So he's going back home to play in Linfield. It's not confirmed yet, but he's a free agent. And that's been reported tonight that he might go to Linfield. What about Livingston? I know you were saying about the budget between Celtic, Rangers and the rest of the teams in the league. David Martindale had a go at Andy Postecoglou on Tuesday. I don't know if you saw his comments before the game about the budgets. I'm not entirely sure where he's coming from. Maybe that's really not Celtic's fault that they've got a bigger budget than Livingston. Maybe that's for another show or whatever. Maybe you've got a comment to make in that. But basically what he was saying today was we got Celtic out the way, and I think he was glad that they don't have to play Celtic for the next few weeks. Right enough, I think they've got Rangers coming up in a few weeks' time at home as well. David Martindale said the squad is fine for the game tomorrow. Andy said that's Celtic out the way, and now all my focus is on the game with Kilmarnock, and we're trying to get up into the top 6. So what do you make of the comments?
Well, I'm disappointed because Hashbury Stumble says, no, the 80s. What's wrong with the 80s? I'll be dancing in that living room singing Like a Virgin very, very shortly, trust me. I mean, David Martindale's fair enough. You know, he's entitled to say what he wants, but I don't think budget should have come into it. Celtic got bigger budgets, they're a bigger team, they got better players. But I have said this before, I think David Martindale, for what he has at Livingston, what he's got at disposal, he does a fantastic job. You know, they're sitting 5th in the league. Every chance they're going to finish in the top 6 this season. I think they do a very good job. I think David Martindale is a very underrated manager. But, you know, a lot of folk talk about budgets and stuff. Everybody's going to have less budgets than Celtic and Rangers. That's just the way it is. But I think David Martindale does a very, very good job of what he's got. I think they have probably punched above the weight for a while now. But, you know, at home, on that horrible pitch, they'll give Kilmarnock a really hard game tomorrow. I do think that Living might win tomorrow, but I do think, I keep saying this, I really like David Martindale. He's a very, very good guy. He's a very good character. So I think he does a very good job given what he's got.
Got to say good evening to Mr. Regan Stevens. He's been in touch on Twitter, so hopefully you're well, and I'll be good to have you back on the show in a few weeks' time. Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think Livingston might fancy their chances tomorrow, Graham, and picking up 3 points. It's coming to that, you would say, business end of the season where anything can happen. But yeah, I mean, look, I mean, David Martindale said today their focus is on the top 6, and I think if they get in the top 6, I think that will be another successful season for Livingston and another positive thing to put on David Martindale's CV.
I mean, I was looking at the league table earlier. There's only 5 points between St Johnstone in 8th and Livingston in 5th, so it's very, very tight in that area. But I honestly think Livingston will be in the top 6. I don't have any doubt about that. They are a very, very well-run club. I spoke about this as well on the show, that I just wish they had more fans in the stadium, but it is what it is. But they do a very good job. You know, they punch above their weight, and they have done for a while. David Martindale, I genuinely can't believe he's still at Livingston. I thought he'd got a bigger club by now. No disrespect to Livingston, but I thought he'd have got a bigger club. But he's done a very, very good job, and I don't see there's any reason why they could even be challenged for that top 4. I don't think they'll get third. I think Hearts will get third place. I hope we do, but I think we will get third place. But there's no reason they can't be challenged for that top 4. And especially at Armand Vale, you know, at home, they're a very, very difficult team to beat.
Am I right in saying, I know I said this before, Graham, but am I right in saying if it wasn't for Livingston, if Martindale wasn't at Livingston, if he was a kind of top 6 team, he would be away to another club at the moment? Am I being a bit unfair by saying that?
I'm kind of maybe I'm glad that Dave isn't on here now, but I wonder if David Martindale could have done a job at Aberdeen. You know, if you look at the job that he's done at Livingston on a really tight budget, he'll have more money to spend at Aberdeen. He'll have probably better players. I maybe think David Martindale could be in with a shout for Aberdeen job.
Well, going by his video the other week after the Scottish Cup game, I think he would get a reaction out the team when they went in the dressing room after the game.
I think those Livingston players hang on every word that David Martindale says. He's very honest. You know, obviously that video that came out after the Scottish Cup game, he's just a very honest guy. He's a very passionate guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I quite like that. He is very honest. Whether they get beat or whether they win, he is obviously very honest. And I think those Aberdeen players, if David Martindale turned up, they'd be like, oh, wait a minute, we need to start doing something here, because he's not going to stand for any nonsense.
I think sometimes you say the players make a rocket, but on this occasion, they might need David Martindale, and stuff. But yeah, he is doing well. And to be honest, I mean, if you're a Livingston fan, sorry for saying this, but I would be very surprised if he's still there next season, Graham.
I don't think he will be. I think he'll be away. I don't know where, but I think he'll be away, and Livingston will be... They'll really miss him because he has done such a good job at Livingston. He signed really well. Again, I keep going back to the fact he brought Joe Nouble in, relatively unknown, and he's been an absolute revelation for them. Again, I think he'll probably leave as well. I know he's been injured recently, but Joe Nouble has been brilliant. So I completely think that David Martindale will leave to a bigger club than Livingston. And I wouldn't be surprised if Aberdeen do go knocking on Martindale's door and say, do you know what? We actually quite want you here. I think he'd do a really good job at Aberdeen. I really do.
Derek McInnes was talking about the game tomorrow, Graham, and he was saying it's going to be a tough game. We lost both games to them this season, but we need to find a way to win. And that's it. I mean, it's coming to the business end of the season, and like, if you were a Curry fan, you would be saying to yourself, I don't care about the performance. Get the 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, they are keeping up the table. They maybe not played great football, but they're keeping up the table. And tomorrow, if they could get 3 points out of that, again, that would be a huge, huge victory for them. I did wonder what would happen after they lost Lafferty. As I said, they do still have the fact they can sign free agents now. I wouldn't be surprised if Derek McInnes, after tomorrow, goes and tries to send a couple of strikers, because they are lacking up front. But Daniel Armstrong has been outstanding for them. He's their main real threat just now. And as I said, that goal he scored on Wednesday was outstanding finish. Very, very good goal. So they'll be a difficult game for Livingston tomorrow. But I do just think I do think Vale. I think Livingston might just sneak that.
Yeah, no, I agree. The team news for Kilmarnock is, by the way, David Martindale said the squad is fine. Derek McKenna said that as Liam Donnelly is touch and go to make the game, and Chris Stokes is back in the squad for tomorrow's game for Emmy Curry fans Watson. Right, Graham, we had Ross making his debut on the show on Tuesday night. As a fun enough, his name's Ross, and he's a Ross County fan. But his team is going to Ibrox tomorrow. Rangers against Ross County.
Yeah, sorry, Ross, if you're watching this, but I don't actually think you'll do very much in this game. I think you probably will get beat, to be honest. But, Ross County have picked up again. I thought against Hibs on Tuesday, I know that Lee Johnson is not happy with VAR. Personally, I think they got it right. I don't think it was a foul on Devin Marshall. I think he's got to be stronger than that. Jan Danda scores for the corner, but I think Ross County have done a really good job. And to be honest, we mentioned at the start of the show, I think Simon Murray is a really good signing for them. I think he will score goals for Ross County given the chances. He's done a very good job at Queen's Park. He's stepping up now, but I think he'll be a real threat for Ross County.
I think that's the difference, though. You might be sick of me saying this, Glenn, but I think that's the difference of Ross County scaling up this season. Because before then, they were in a bit of bother.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the bottom of the league, United have got Stephen Fletcher, Motherwell, Kevin Van Veen, Kelly don't really have a lot of options up front. I think Ross County now with the signing of Simon Murray, that could be a massive, massive difference. I don't think they'll get anything tomorrow, if I'm being honest. I think Rangers will be far too strong, but I keep going back to this. I just think that Ross County going there tomorrow, as I said, get a tackle in early on. Let Rangers know they're in a game here. I know it's at Ibrox, but put a foot in. That's what they've got to do tomorrow, and just try and be a bit more, try and be compact. But if they get a chance, and again, you look at the game against, who did Rangers play last week? St Johnstone. Yeah. If you look at the chance that Dre Wright has in the first half at 1-0 down, he should score that. He trips up and obviously misses it. When you get chances at Ibrox, you've got to take them. And I think if Simon Murray gets a chance, he will score.
But in saying that, Graham, I know that we were talking about Livingston parking the bus and all that, and Ross County maybe park the bus tomorrow Ibrox. But I mean, you just have to look at Livingston this season. Ibrox, they were getting beat, they were 1-1-0 up until, 10 minutes to go, and they come out with a point. So anything could happen. And I think Livingston scored in 10 minutes in that game.
I think Livy also had a man sent off in that game as well, if my memory serves me correct. But yeah, I mean, you can have a go at these teams. You can get at them. I don't think Rangers defensively, not that they would know on Wednesday because we never tested them, but I don't think Rangers defensively are that great. I've always said numerous times before that, yes, James Tavernier is good going forward, but I've never been a massive fan of him defensively. I think he struggles defensively. And I think if, Ross County can get the ball in behind, Simon Murray's got a bit of pace. If they can get the ball in behind and really cause Rangers problems, they could have a few chances tomorrow. But it is so important that when you get chances against Celtic and Rangers at Ibrox and Celtic Park, you've got to take them. And I think Simon Murray could be the player that does that tomorrow. But I just think that Rangers, again, will probably be far too strong.
Michael Beale said today at his press conference, well, it was actually yesterday, Helge's press conference, that Janis Hagi is a 50% chance of making the game tomorrow. And Kemar Roof is back in training and he might feature. Also, what he was saying was, we are pleased how things are going, but we've still got a long way to go until we're the finished article. We need to put in a good performance for our home, especially our home form. And that's a concern, Glenn, because I've been saying on the show millions of times that Rangers, they're winning games since Michael Beale's come out. In fact, I don't think they've lost a game since Beale's come in, but they've only been performing for like 45 minutes. It's not like for the whole 90 minutes. Do you think that would be a concern? And obviously, if Michael Beale's saying it, obviously it is a concern.
Yeah, potentially, but all they can do is win games. I've said numerous times that I think the title's done. I don't think they'll win it. I think Celtic are far too strong. But all they can do is keep on winning. They were very impressive against us on Wednesday, but again, how much of that was Rangers playing well and Hearts being very, very poor? I think Rangers did deserve to win. There's no doubt about that. But in the games that I've seen them, they've not been overly impressive. Now, they do have a League Cup final to play against Celtic. They've still got the Scottish Cup, so they could potentially still win a couple of trophies this season. I don't think they will. I think Celtic win the League Cup as well, but I don't think you'll see the best of Rangers and Michael Beale till next season. I think they'll strengthen again in the summer. Todd Cantwell's a real good signing. I think Cantwell's a very good player. I've watched him for Norwich. He's a very, very good footballer. Having Haji back will be a huge boost. Again, they still don't have John Souttar fit. God knows when he'll be fit. But they are starting to get players back. Morelos scored a couple of goals on Wednesday night. That'll do his conference a lot of good. But I think Rangers, I don't think you'll see them really, really decent until next season. But as I say, they've still got a chance to win 2 trophies this season. I don't think they will, but they've got a chance.
It was also asked about Malcolm Mackay and Ross Kent today, and basically said Malky is doing a good job. They always give us a very difficult game at Ibrox. Is a top manager, so there you go. So that's Ross Kent again, Rangers tomorrow. As for Ross Kent, Graham, they're quite the good team, but going to Ibrox and Backkeg, they are kind of like stuffy team as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ross Kent are a very difficult team to play against. Malky Mackay sets his team up very well. They do try and have a go, but there's no doubt that they have been missing, Reagan Charles Cook and Joseph Hungbo, who were so big for them last season. But they have strengthened now. They signed Simon Murray. They did sign a few other players in January as well. So they will make it difficult for Rangers tomorrow, but if they can keep it tight for the first 25 minutes or so, maybe try and sneak something in a counter-attack or get a free kick or something, it could be difficult. But I just think that Rangers at Ibrox, with the crowd behind them and probably with the referee as well, they probably will be far too strong tomorrow.
I never said that. It was Graham that said that as well. So as for the Scumber's say, when are we going to talk about the rugby? I only came for the rugby. Well, we are going to speak about the rugby in a few minutes when we're finishing with Premiership preview of the weekend. So do you think it'll be a kind of, I don't want to say easy win for Rangers, but comfortable win for Rangers, but they might have to work hard at it tomorrow?
Yeah, potentially. I think if Rangers get an early goal, I think they're probably going to score 3 or 4. But the longer that Ross Kent can keep it tight, keep it compact, and as I say, try and hit on the counter-attack, try and get the ball in behind for somebody to get onto, you just never know if St Johnstone can get a chance and finish it. But I do think Rangers probably will win. I think I'm going to say 3-0 for Rangers tomorrow. I think they will win it, but it might not be that comfortable.
Okay, so let's move on now to the St Mirren Hibs game tomorrow, Graham. This news came out today about Ayler Younger will be out for the rest of the season with an injury, a calf injury. Big blow to St Mirren, Stephen Robertson said today. Graham, he scored 7 goals in 24 appearances for St Mirren this season. Do you think they'll miss him?
Yeah, they will.
Obviously, but
yeah, absolutely. He brings a physical presence. He brings a bit of pace to them. He's been a very, very good signing for St Mirren, so that's a huge, huge blow. But they do have Curtis Main that's scoring goals just now. This is a very difficult game to predict. St Mirren I think they're only 6 points behind Hearts just now. Very difficult game. I would quite happily hope this is our draw tomorrow if Hearts can beat United, but this will be a difficult game. St Mirren, obviously, with that win on Wednesday night, deserved it against Aberdeen, although Aberdeen were down to 10 men. But St Mirren have looked very, very impressive. I do like what Stephen Robinson's done for the team. Sitting 4th in the league, they look a very, very good side just now. They're scoring goals, they're winning games. This is a difficult game to call tomorrow. I think for me, this is probably the biggest game of the weekend, I think.
Scottish TV Gold. I like it when you comment on the program, right? Because I'll say that's my best meme ever on YouTube or that I saw. Saint Mirren and Hibs feels it a draw to me. Yeah, I mean, I could see why he's saying that, Graham. But I mean, as for Lee Johnson, he'll be going, "Oh, good, I'm still in the job," because this game last week when we were doing the show, I think it was called El Saku of the game, and Lee Johnson was quite pleased he got out of that one, and a good victory you would have to say against Aberdeen. But tomorrow away from home, I think he would take a point at the moment.
This will be a far harder test than Aberdeen were, because Aberdeen were powder puff. This will be a much difficult game. Going to St Mirren, as Celtic fans will know, is not an easy place to go. St Mirren, I think, are unbeaten there for a while now. They're a very difficult team to beat at home. So this is a difficult game for Hibs. And yeah, Johnson has been under massive, massive pressure. Obviously, they've lost Ryan Porteous away to Millwall to Watford. I don't think that's as massive a blow as people maybe think it is. They've kept Kevin Nisbet, but he obviously got a hamstring injury the other day, so that's a big blow. But this is a huge test for Hibs. If they can win this game, then it does take more pressure off Lee Johnson, because there's no doubt that last week, had he lost that game on the back of that cup defeat to Hearts, a lot of Hibs fans were thinking, right, get him gone, get him out the door. That's probably kept him safe just now. But tomorrow's a huge, huge game. And I actually do agree with Scottish TV Gold. I think that does have the potential to be a draw, which as a Hearts fan, I'll quite happily take, because if we can beat United tomorrow, that just makes the gap a little bit wider. So I'm quite happy to take a draw with that game tomorrow.
Wasn't Lee Johnson today? It was doing the press conference. It was David Gray. And before you say it, Graham, yeah, I like that hospital food. Remember that song that he sang, David Gray?
Babylon.
Yeah, I like Babylon as well, but he done a song called Hospital Food as well. Check out if you haven't saw that yet. So yeah, I babble a lot. Actually, I do that for a living. So David Gray said it will be a difficult game. About their home form has been good this season so far. We want Emerson. We want to win the game and start off them. We want to start the game well. He was talking about the fort with Kevin Nisbet, and he's got a 50-50 chance of winning the game. Making the game, maybe not winning the game. If he wins the game, I'm going to put in a bet now, actually, if he plays and scores a goal. But yeah, so how big a blow will that be if Nisbet doesn't make it for Hibs, Graham?
Well, I think, like a lot of folk, I was surprised he was still here. When that news came through that he turned down that move to Millwall, I think a lot of folk were like, something's not quite right there. To turn that down, I don't know what happened there, but a lot of folks said he failed the medical. Then he goes and gets a hamstring injury, put two and two together. You never know. But yeah, it's a huge blow, because he's been probably his best player for the last few weeks. He's been their main real source of goals. Although Eli Yuan scored on Tuesday, and he is a very good player. He's a really good footballer, but he doesn't really have that goal threat, so that's a big boost for him that he scored. They have signed Matthew Hoppe. What a great name that is. The US international striker. I don't know if he'll start tomorrow, but that could be a good signing potential for Hibs. So they've got cover there, but yeah, there's no doubt that Kevin Nisbet is going to be a huge, huge miss, because he's been the Hibs' best player for me for the last few weeks.
And as for St Mirren, as I say, it's going to be a big miss for Younger to miss for the rest of the season. But they still get players that can score goals. Graham, I mean, you look at Kirkus Men during the week as well, scoring a few goals against his former team. How many times could that happen, by the way? But they've got goal scorers in the team.
They do. I mean, Curtis May's been very impressive. I mean, I never thought he would actually score a lot of goals for them, but he's done a very, very good job. I'm just going to read out something that I've just seen on Twitter, actually. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's a message from Ron Gordon, the chief executive at Hibernian Football Club, who's just put this statement out to supporters. Dear supporters, some of you may have noticed that I have not been at Easter Road in some time. I love the club and I love Edinburgh, and I come to our games in the city as often as possible and go to as many games as I can. That is why I'm writing this letter to you all, to explain why I've not been around as usual. For most of this past year, I've been receiving treatment for cancer. It's been a difficult time for me and the family, but I'm blessed to have their love and support as we navigate through the challenge. I imagine many of you will have gone through similar in your own families. We all stick together to get through these difficult times. Unfortunately, my treatment has made international travel a little bit more challenging, as I'm sure you'll understand. However, while undergoing the treatment, I've remained in daily contact with our chief executive, Ben Kensell, who continues to run the club with the support of the board. That will remain the case as we continue to move forward on the variety of initiatives to further advance the club. I want to assure you that all our family's commitment to the club's long-term success remains absolute, and I'll be back with you Easter Road as soon as my treatment allows. I realise that our men's team has gone through a challenging time on the pitch. It was disappointing for all of us to go out the cup to our city rivals. However, result and performance against Aberdeen showed that we can be a real force in this league once we manage to achieve some consistency. I'm very grateful and fully appreciate your continued support of the team and the club. As you know, it will take all of us working together to help the club achieve its goals on and off the pitch. So your commitment and encouragement is always necessary and very welcomed. As always, thank you to our support and your trust, and I wish you all the very best for 2023, Ron Gordon. So very, very sad news out of Ron Gordon. And listen, as an Arts fan, these things, I mean, I've gone through this with my family as well. These things are horrible, and I wish him and his family all the best. It's a horrible, horrible disease, and I hope that he recovers from that with the best treatment he can. So I'm sure that I speak for everyone on the locker room here that we send all our best wishes to Ron Gordon and his family at this time.
This is when you hear stories like that, Graham, this is when football takes a back seat.
Absolutely. I mean, people did wonder why Ron Gordon hadn't been speaking very much, and now we know why. So yeah, I mean, it's horrible when this happens. It's a horrible disease. I know because I've lived through it for the last few while. So it's horrible, and you know it's going to affect everybody. It affects family, it affects friends, and all we can do is like hope that he gets the treatment. We don't know how what it is. We don't know how bad it is, but all you can do is just pray for him and his family and hope that he gets the treatment and hope that he gets back to Easter Road very, very soon, because it is. Football rivalry is brilliant. Football banter is great. When it comes to something like this, that gets put aside, and all that matters is that the family and that are all well at this time.
Yeah, well said, Glenn. I couldn't put it any better myself. So that goes from the whole locker room team, and we're with Ron Gordon. Well, am I not mistaken that Gregory Johnson was he not in hospital at the beginning of the season, Graham? I think you remember that we were talking about.
You're right, he was. I think he missed maybe one. I can't remember what it was for, but I think he missed the first couple of games anyway. Because I remember we were on the show and we did again say, best wishes to Lee Johnson, because rivalries get put aside when it comes to something like this. Yeah.
No, I remember. I think it was at the beginning of the season, Graham. I think he missed one or two games and stuff. But yeah, so best wishes to Ron Gordon and his family at this time, and let's hope he gets back to support the High Bees soon. Okay, so the last game of the weekend will be Sunday then, Graham. Back to one game on Sky because there's no FA Cup games on this weekend. Sorry for that wee dig again, but I couldn't help myself. St Johnstone against Celtic, Graham. What do you make of this one on McDermott's Park's not? You were saying about Livingston's playing on that park, but McDermott Park's not the best surfers at the moment either.
No, it's not great. I mean, again, I keep going back to the fact that you look at Darvel's pitch for a junior side, they had a far better pitch than half the teams in this league. And again, I look back at that. You look back at those two League Cup semi-finals, that Hampden pitch for a national stadium was an absolute joke. That needs to get ripped up and put down again, because that's an embarrassment for our national stadium. Yeah, St Johnstone pitch was cutting up very badly, but I don't think that'll really matter to Celtic. Celtic have got far, far too much quality. And I think they will probably win quite comfortably. St Johnstone have done okay recently. That was a huge 3 points on Wednesday. You know, again, Nicky Clark, who was in the team on Wednesday after his sending off got revoked, rightly so. So he set up the goal for Dre Wright. And St Johnstone have looked a bit better recently. They do tend to give teams difficult games at McDiarmid Park, but I just think the way that Celtic are playing just now, the budget they've got, the quality they've got, I can't see anything other than a comfortable Celtic win.
When we talk about St Johnstone on the show, we always refer back to Callum Davidson, and he's in the same bracket, you would say, about David Martindale as well. But what I would say is David Martindale's just beaten him by a nose. Sorry, back to that horsey joke again. But St Johnstone had a kind of up and down season. But I mean, you would say that Callum Davidson's came back from the dead a wee bit, because St Johnstone were poor season last year. In fact, were they not in the playoffs last season as well? And then, as you said, they won on Wednesday night against Kilmarnock. And okay, people would say, well, it's only Kilmarnock, but it's still you still got to beat 11 men. It doesn't matter what team you're playing against as well. So Callum Davidson's had an up and down season, Glenn, but he's a still a decent manager, and he's doing a decent job up there.
Yeah, just before I get to that, Hashbury Stumble says, best wishes to Ron Gordon, Scottish TV Gold, Hearts fan here as well, but thinking of Ron Gordon and his family. I would say we obviously echo that here at the locker room. But yeah, I mean, St Johnstone are actually I think they're only like 4 points off Hibs in sixth place. So they have been very up and down, but I generally like the job that Callum Davidson's done there. Again, I said this before on the show as well, that I think you've got to give massive credit to Jeff Brown, because when Davidson was under pressure, he could have sacked him when they were like bottom of the league. And you kind of think he's won 2 cups, he got in the top 6. To sack him does seem harsh, but he didn't. He stuck with him, and he's done a very, very good job. Again, we talk about this as well. The fact that they signed Nicky Clark, who brought the best out of Stevie May, that was a big, big signing. So I think Davis has done a very good job. I don't think they'll finish in the top 6. I think they will finish below that, but they've done a very good job. I think they can give Celtic a game on Sunday. I think they can make it difficult, but I just think the quality that Celtic team have got, and you know, you look at the quality Celtic have got. Celtic can afford, if they wanted to make 4 or 5 changes, but those 4 or 5 changes don't make the team any worse. St Johnstone can't really do that. You know, they can't make 4 or 5 changes and say, right, we're going to be fine here. So there's a big gap there. But I just think Celtic on Sunday will probably be far too strong.
Yeah, that's the thing about. I'm going to touch upon the Celtic squad in a minute, but Postecoglou said today everybody is good after the other night against Livingston. I think we are better side. What do you make of these comments, Clem? He thinks that Celtic are better side than last season. Now, if I was a Hearts fan, a bit like you, I would be a bit worried with him coming out with statements like that. But he says we just need to keep going. He was asked about that brilliant surface that they've got at McDiarmid Park at the moment. He says we just need to adjust to the park, but nothing will change in our game. What do you make of Postecoglou's comments about saying that he thinks we're better than last season? Do you think it's because he's had a full season to work with that team?
Probably, and he's obviously added to that as well with the signings of O, and obviously they signed earlier on, they signed the other Japanese boy as well. They are just looking very, very strong. That's why I don't think Rangers will get anywhere near them this season. Yeah, I think they are probably stronger than they were last season. I think Postecoglou has an understanding of the league now. I think he knows what to expect when he goes to like places like McDiarmid Park. St John, let's be honest, Celtic are not going to change the way they play for anybody, and that's kind of what I admire. And that's where I wish that Hearts were. I wish that Hearts were at every game and goes, you know what, we're not changing for anybody. Celtic don't have to do that. You know, they're Celtic. They've got quality. They've got very good players. So I think if Celtic are stronger than last season, that is a worry. And I just think Celtic will keep getting stronger and stronger. They'll be even stronger next season. So it is a massive worry. And again, This is what I said weeks ago. This is why nobody outside of Celtic and Rangers will ever win the league, because they just get stronger every season.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, if you're a Celtic fan at the moment, would you not? Because I was asking this question, if Celtic never signed anyone in the window, would you be bothered? Because Celtic's got a strong squad. And by the way, talking about the squad, Giakoumakis is still he's away, but the deal is yet to be done. I think he's going to America over there. But yeah, so anyway, so do you think that the Celtic fans wouldn't be bothered if they signed anyone in that window?
I don't think they would be. They've got a far, far stronger squad than anybody else in the league. And they didn't probably need anybody else, but they have strengthened even further. So yeah, I don't think, if I was a Celtic fan, I wouldn't have been that bothered if they didn't sign anyone, because they've still got a strong enough squad. Again, on Wednesday night against Livingston, they were very, very comfortable. Again, Kyogo scores. Again, Maeda looks, again, very impressive. And again, I think Postecoglou actually talked about Maeda and what he brings to the team, and you can see that. Maeda brings a real sharpness to the team. He never stops running, and that's what you want. So Celtic are very, very strong, and I do think, again, come the summer, they'll probably strengthen again and be even stronger than that. Is a worry for everybody in the league, not just Rangers, but everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think, like, if people Wednesday night, I don't know if you saw the highlights, Glenn, but I mean, when Celtic players were getting subbed, they were like running off. But as for the Livingston players, they were walking off because they must have been tired, because I mean, they've been putting in a shift for like 65 minutes, and the Celtic players were thinking, well, business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard that phrase, Postecoglou says that we don't stop, and they're not stopping. And I don't see them stopping on Sunday either against St Johnstone. And I think as well, maybe part of that, Livingston players walking off was to try and waste a bit of time to try and run the clock down a bit, because it was a very comfortable night for Celtic. They were never really under any pressure, and they very rarely are, especially at Celtic Park. So it wasn't a surprise. Maybe the only surprise was that they maybe didn't score a few more.
Okay, so that is the games of the weekend, Glenn. And don't forget, we'll be here on Sunday after the Celtic St Johnstone game at 3 o'clock, 3 until 5 here on the locker room. And you can, the guys will look back in the weekend's action and look ahead to. No, there's no games midweek now. So the guys are off for the week, so they'll be saying yes. Okay, hopefully Haspy Scrumbley is still watching, because we're going to speak about the oval ball now, Graham. Yes, rugby. And it's the Six Nations tomorrow. They kick off tomorrow. Just before we get into the games tomorrow, I'm going to run through the rest of the games. Obviously, we're going to speak about the old enemies going to war. What's that song again? Yeah, that's like Two Tribes Going to War. Remember that song? I can't remember who sings it now.
I should know that, but I can't remember. It's Two Tribes Go to War. I can't remember who it is.
In fact, that was the 80s. I think that was the 80s, Graham.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Ah, well done, yeah. So you'll be hearing that 4:45 tomorrow, I think. The rest of the games this weekend is Wales against Ireland. That is I think that's the opening game of the Six Nations. And obviously you've got England against Scotland, and then you have got Italy against France, and that is on Sunday. Graham, I think there's only one game that we'll be talking about here, especially on Indie Live Radio and Independent Live. And if we don't talk about the game, we'll have millions of comments saying, why did you not speak about that game for? So the big game tomorrow, 4:45. is England against Scotland, Graham.
Yeah, our record against England hadn't been particularly great recently, but Gregor Townsend seems to have kind of sorted that a little bit. You know, I think we're looking for our back-to-back wins at Twickenham. Whenever it comes to England, Scotland, no matter what it is, I think
third win.
I think I said this last week that it didn't matter if it was tiddlywinks or cricket, whatever. You always want to beat England. This will be a big, big game. England obviously coming at this in the back of getting a new coach, Steve Borthwick. It'll be it's a difficult start. Scotland finished 4th last year, hoping to try and get a bit better than that. So it's what a game to start. There'll be a lot of, I think I'll be watching this tomorrow as well. There'll be a lot of folk watching this. The Scotland squad is Stuart Hogg, Kyle Steen, Hugh Jones, Sion Tuipulotu, Duhan van der Meer, Finn Russell, Ben White, Matt Fagerson, Luke Crosby, Jamie Ritchie, the captain, Grant Gilchrist, Richie Gray, W.P. Nell, George Turner, and Pierre Schumann. Replacements are Fraser Brown, Jamie Batty, Simon Bergen, Johnny Gray, Jack Dempsey, George Horn, Blair Kinghorn, and Chris Harris. It's a massive, massive game. England have won just one of the last 6 Nations Leagues meetings. They've drawn 1 and lost 3. I think this is a big, big game for Scotland. I don't think there's any reason why Scotland can't win this game. I think they've got a very, very good chance. Again, there is still a lot of Scotland fans who are not massive fans of Gregor Townsend. I do like him. I think he comes across very well. And I think the Scotland players will be up for this. And I think the Scotland fans will be even more up for this. I'm looking forward to this, actually. It should be a good game.
Yeah, Scotland got unbeaten in the last twice they visited Twickenham, but I think the Scotland fans might be up against it tomorrow, Graham. I don't know how many fans we are taking to the game, but 80,000 will be at the game tomorrow. With a small, I say a small number, but you know how Scottish football fans find their way in and these kind of games. The rugby fans will be in pockets of the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the things I would actually love to go to is a Scotland-England rugby game. I've never been to one before. I've been to Scotland-Wales at Murrayfield. I've talked about this before, but I've never been to a Scotland-England game, and I think that would be incredible. I don't think I would go to Twickenham. It's too far. But I would quite happily go to Murrayfield for a Scotland-England game. And as I say, to start the Six Nations with a game against the old enemy is brilliant. And, you know, Hashbury Stumble says Townsend has no idea what England will play like. I do agree. So it could be both teams are going to be wondering what they're going to expect tomorrow. But I genuinely think Scotland have got a great chance to win this game. I really do. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully Scotland can get the right result.
I mean, just looking at Gregor Townsend's record here, he's done everything but win the Six Nations because basically during his tenure as Scotland manager, right, is what the first victory was in Paris in 1999, and the first one at Twickenham since 1983. So he's actually did well, but the rest of the tournament has let him down, Glenn, because as you said, that he's finished 4th place. I think he's got about 4 or 5 wooden spoons in the cupboard.
Yeah, but you know what? Why not go out and win it this year? Why not? Let's aim for that top spot. And there's no reason that Scotland can't do that. I think Scotland have got a decent side there, a decent squad there, and maybe it's a good thing that we're playing England first. I think I'd rather play them first, get out of the way. But it will be a difficult game. And as you say, I don't know how many Scotland fans are going there tomorrow, but I don't think it'll matter. They'll make it like a home game. And as soon as that Flower of Scotland gets played, it'll be really, really passionate. I'll be singing it in the house. I'll be on my own, thankfully, because my kids aren't here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It should be a difficult game, but it is hard to predict England-Scotland at anything. But I just think that Gregor Townsend's got a really good squad there. And if we can win this, what a boost that would be to Gregor Townsend. Hashbury Stumble says Ireland and France are favourites to win the Six Nations. To be honest, I would probably say France look the most likely. But you know what? Why can't Scotland have a good Six Nations this season? Every chance we could. And if we can start with a win tomorrow at Twickenham, what a massive boost that would be.
I mean, England finished in 3rd place last season in the in the Six Nations as well, Graham, you know. So, but as you say, I mean, you've got nothing to lose. You're playing against old enemy, William Wallace and all that. Go there and have a go.
100%. I think we will. I think there's absolutely no doubt that we will. And, you know, again, I kind of, I know, because I'm on Twitter, as everyone knows that, but I do see a lot of Scotland fans that don't rate Gregor Townsend. But I think he's done a very good job. And if he could get off to a really good start in this game tomorrow, the fans would be right behind him. And, you know, yeah, at Hashbury Stumble, I know, did say that Ireland and France are favourites, but do you know what? Why not? Why can't Scotland do this? Why can't we go and win this? There's no reason we can't. We've got the squad. We've got I think, the right coach. So let's just go and have a go tomorrow. And, you know, what a massive boost it would give to the whole country if Scotland can win this tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'll be a massive lift to the country if they win. Because I think, and in fact, am I right in thinking that this is the first time that Scotland beat England? They are going to play in front of fans, because I'm not right in saying the last twice it was during lockdown.
Possibly, I can't remember. I'm not entirely sure actually. Hashbury Stumble says Andy Nicholas tipping Ireland to shade it. I think Ireland have got a good chance, but I'm still thinking that France probably might just sneak it. But as I say, you know, one of these times, Scotland are going to win this. Why not now?
Yeah, and I mean it would be a good warm up for the World Cup, because the World Cup is just around the corner, and fun enough, the World Cup is in France in September, Graham.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just great to have these big things back again, the World Cup, and I think Scottish TV Gold says no fans in 2021. I mean, you do. I've said this before as well, that any sporting occasion, you want fans there. You want that passion. So I think tomorrow you'll see that with England and Scotland fans. So, yeah, I mean, the World Cup was just around the corner, as you said, and that will be another massive, massive occasion. And again, this is a good parameter from where Scotland are. You know, if we can get a decent Six Nations under our belt, going to the World Cup on a high, it would be huge for the country.
Yeah, and they just come back to France. They won it last season. Last year was their first Grand Slam title. They won for 12 years in 2022, and carried their superb form into 13 matching winning streak. That's some record, Graham, winning 13 games back to back.
It is absolutely fantastic. And Hashbury Stumble says, I agree, Graham. I'm clipping that because nobody ever agrees with me. We gave the All Blacks and the Wallabies a good run for the money. Yeah, we did. We competed really well against them. I was very impressed with what we did in those games. And yes, England will be difficult. We don't know what to expect under the new coach, Steve Borthwick. It will be a difficult game. But again, just that Scotland-England rivalry, it's great to have that back. And it's great to have fans there as well. I think this could be a really important game tomorrow. And if Scotland can come back to Scotland with the victory, it'll be a huge, huge boost. And there's no reason that we can't build on that then and go and try and win the Six Nations. Yes, it'll be tough. I get that. But you know what? Any sport is tough. Let's go and try and win this.
I know that they say that obviously Scotland's got other games coming up. I think they've got a game next weekend at home to Wales. That's their first game in the tournament. But I think because it's Scotland and England, it kind of like sticks out from the crowd a wee bit. If you know what I mean, it's got this kind of bite about it, you know.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I still think there's quite a lot of England rugby fans that really don't rate Scotland, and that's the way it always is.
Same with the football as well.
That's what I was going to say. You know, there's a lot of pundits and that there that just think Scotland are a third-rate country. We're not. You know, we're a big team, and we've shown that recently performances we've had. And I feel like Kevin Keegan. I would love if we went in and won that game.
Well, you've got headphones on. Well, not the size of his headphones, but you've got the
I've not got the hair for it though. I've not got the hair for it.
I wonder where he went. Maybe he's favourite for that, but Jane Job. Anyway, I move on from that. But yeah, I mean, we were doing all right there up until you said Kevin Keegan, Graham. But yeah, it's going to be a good tournament. And also, I don't know if you've been to a rugby game. I've never been to one in my life, but I mean, it looks as though it's a good atmosphere.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I went to one with our former colleague and friend Matthew Lingard. Remember him?
I don't think so.
He took me to Murrayfield for a Scotland Wales game, and I'd never experienced rugby match before. I didn't know what to expect, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, we were actually sitting next to the Welsh fans, like having a drink with them, and it was a brilliant atmosphere. There was no trouble or anything. I think Scotland might have won that game as well, which made it even better. But yeah, the atmosphere was incredible. It was absolutely incredible, and I would quite happily go back again. As I say, I'd love to go to a Scotland-England game. I don't know what tickets are like for that game, but I would love to go back to one of those games. Hashbury Stumble, I love hearing the Welsh rugby fans singing the national anthem. Yeah, I mean, that is... It's like hairs in the back of your neck. It is so passionate the way they sing it, the way they are so passionate. And I got that at that Scotland rugby game against Wales. They were so passionate. And Scotland fans are like that as well when they sing Flower of Scotland. It's such a brilliant anthem as well. And yeah, I just think that rugby game was very good. And I'm glad Matthew took me to it. And I got a hat out of it as well, a free hat. Even better.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah. And a pie, no? Ireland's basically looking at all the teams at the moment, Graham, like Ireland's second and they are top of the world rankings. That's very good for a country like Ireland. I think maybe we are jealous, but they beat South Africa and the Fiji and Australia. They only so they're lying second in the world rankings at the moment, Graham. So Scotland has got a difficult job when they play. We've got Ireland at home actually on match day 5, I think it is.
Well, let's hope we're still in the chance of winning it then, because that could be an incredible occasion. Yeah, Ireland, again, our former colleague Matthew is over in Ireland just now. He does watch a lot of Irish rugby, and he says they are a very, very good side. So yeah, you know, fantastic for Ireland. You know, they've really come on leaps and bounds over the years, and it's great for them. But all that matters is how Scotland do, and if we can perform to our best, like hopefully tomorrow, then there's no reason that Scotland can't be competing as well.
I mean, it's all like beating England, right? I'm saying it's all like beating England. You would love to beat England, give the day of the week. Well, I certainly would generally. But it's all like beating them. But I mean, you would want to win all the other games as well, Graham. Yeah, it's no point just winning one game against a big team and then after that fall away. You've just got to keep winning.
Yeah, whatever you do, whether it's football, rugby, tennis, whatever, if you win, you want to keep momentum going. You want to keep building on that. And yeah, as much as a win against England would be amazing tomorrow, as soon as that game's done, you're then thinking about the next game. And then after that game's done, you're thinking about the next game. You want to keep building momentum. And as you talked about the World Cup coming up, you want to go into the World Cup on a massive, massive high. And there's no reason that Scotland can't do that. But yeah, I mean, yes, the be all and end all is not beating England. You want to win stuff. But it would be a massive, massive boost if we could go to Twickenham tomorrow and win again and put England back in their place where they rightly belong.
Yeah, it should be good because, I mean, looking at the table from last season, Graham, Scotland finished 4th, you know, and, well, obviously the winners were France, Ireland, England, Scotland, Wales, and holding up the table was Italian friends from, fun enough, Italy. But yeah, I mean, Scotland would want to finish first, and I think Scotland has won the Six Nations before then, but I can't remember when it was.
It was a long, long time ago. We did, but I just think that, I mean, tomorrow, I think again, Finn Russell could have a massive say tomorrow. Stuart Hall could have a massive say tomorrow. I think there's players in that Scotland team that could potentially win us this game tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, the Six Nations is a massive tournament. And you talk about finishing 4th last year. You want to then go better. You want to go higher than that. And keep thinking if we can win this tomorrow, it would be a massive boost for us. But we'd also say to like Ireland, France, Wales, well, wait a minute, Scotland have just beaten England. That's a big win. So it puts them in thinking this is a good Scotland team here. So, you know, you want to keep building on success. 4th place last year wasn't great. You want to try and build on that and get higher. And you can't get any higher than beating England tomorrow at Twickenham in their own ground. So hopefully we can win tomorrow. It'll be a big, big game, but there's no reason we can't do it.
And also, I'm just thinking, Glenn, it'll be brilliant if it was like home and away, like they do in football, the European games. But I mean, imagine the aggregate score. We would be into the thousands in no time.
I would take that. I'd quite happily take that as long as Scotland won.
Yeah, we wouldn't take it if we get battered every week, you know. So
that doesn't tend to happen anymore now, though. We don't get battered that much.
Yeah, no, I know.
Apart from our fish and chips, that is.
You've been assaulted. Why did I say that? So that is the tournament this weekend, and it's good a pity that game's away from home. But in saying that, Graham, you're playing against 80,000. Would that not get you up for the game? Just looking at the people on, you know, with the George's flags and all that, and you would want to go at them and just win the game, you know, is that no a bit of confidence in itself?
As soon as I saw that white shirt, and I did say shirt, I would be right up for that. If you can't get yourself motivated for a game against England, you shouldn't be playing.
Nope. No, exactly. So hopefully we'll have our usual rugby correspondent, will we call him? I think we will. David Ferguson, he'll be on the show next week, all going well. And he'll be speaking about the games. We'll look back at the games. Well, you'll do it on Sunday on the show, but we'll preview the next ring of games next weekend. Of course, Scotland is at home to Wales next weekend, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Hasbit Scumberger says Scotland have never won the Six Nations in 24 years. Is that how old I am, Graham?
Well, that's gonna change this year.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm on the 21 as well. I shaved before the show, by the way, so that makes me a bit younger. So that is the Six Nations this weekend, and we have got 9 minutes of the show there. So if you want to comment on anything, maybe keep your comments coming in. We always love to hear from you, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube Live. And I know we've had comments from Hasbury, Scumberley, Scottish TV Gold, and all that. Why not join our Twitter page as well at the Locker Room Indie and tell everybody about the Locker Room? We're here every Friday, 5 till 7, Sunday, 3 till 5. And also, Graham, a few weeks' time, we've got a cup final coming up between Celtic and Rangers. And hopefully that the park will be nice enough to play on that week. We've got a show coming up.
You might as well move it to Darbo's ground. It's a better pitch.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, but that's quite embarrassing for Scottish football. Right enough, you know, if our junior park's better than your national stadium, but I think that's for another show because you know I think we've got issues with that stadium as well. Moving completely off topic now, because I always like to do that from time to time. I don't know if you saw the news today, Graham, about the Olympic Games taking place in Paris next season. Next year, I've got football in my brain. Football and the Polish sports minister basically came out and said 40 countries could boycott the games. What do you make of the comments?
I don't actually know what to make of it because I didn't know about it until you told me before we came on the show. But I'm just looking to look at it. I'm looking at the kind of comments that have been made, the statement that came out. Basically, up to 40 countries could boycott the next Olympic Games, making the whole event pointless, said Poland's Sport and Tourism Minister Kamil Bortniczuk. His comments
is that not on BBC One?
I was gonna say that, but I left that to you. His comments came after Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia jointly rejected an international Olympic committee plan to allow Russians and Belarusians to compete in 2024. Which again, I mean, I kind of understand that because we know there's still that war going on, and I can kind of understand that. But yeah, I mean, he is right. It is going to make the games an absolute pointless thing if 40 countries are going to completely just ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, that came out of the field day comments. They only came out today, Graham, and obviously they've got a year to go. I think it's a year in August, I think it is. And yeah, so I think there'll be more made of that story in the coming weeks and days. But that's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, if I could imagine the Olympic Games maybe getting cancelled if that's the case, because to have 40 countries just completely ignoring it, it's going to be absolute farce. But then, nothing really surprises me these days, to be honest.
No, exactly. VAR, Olympic Games, and there you go, Glenn. We went a full show without speaking about VAR. That's all mention already tonight. Let's finish up on tennis then, Glenn. The Davis Cup is on tonight, actually. Sorry, it's I'm getting all confused here. Easy for me to say. Davis Cup is playing at Columbia in the Davis Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, and Dan Evans has said, I'm reading the statement here, Dan Evans says it does not matter if Great Britain have to win ugly in their challenging Davis Cup qualifying match against Colombia in Bogota. Again, I agree with that. It's about winning games, and there's no reason that GB won't win that game. I think it's on from the 3rd till the 4th of February, so I think it may be, what day is this, the 3rd? So yeah, I mean, it'll be a difficult game for GB, but you would expect them to have far too much for Colombia. I'm not going to lie, I don't know a lot about Colombian tennis.
I wasn't very sure. Not until I saw that. I didn't think they had a team, to be honest. But there you go. We have Scottish representation, Graham. Cameron Norrie.
Yeah, he's. I think he's actually playing tonight. He's playing Nicholas Barrientos. The other games taking place tonight are Dan Evans against Nicholas Medja. On Saturday, it's doubles. It's Evans and Skupski against Cabal and Farah, not Mo Farah. Cameron Norrie plays Nicholas Medja. And on Saturday as well, Dan Evans will play Nicholas Barrientos. So, yeah, I mean, difficult games, but I think GB should have more than enough to win that.
Yeah, and it is... let me have a wee look here, and yeah, the game's away from home, Graham. It's in Colombia. Well, at least they'll get the sun if it's over there.
Yeah, Hashbury Stumble says Svitolina, the Ukrainian female tennis player, does not want Russians competing under a neutral flag. I can understand that as well.
Yeah, but yeah, because was there not some kind of comments made at the last Olympic Games as well?
Yeah. Hashbury Stumble again. He's commenting quite a lot today, which is great.
Yeah.
Davis Cup has been played at high altitude and on clay. Again, I'm not a massive fan of those clay courts, but
no, I'm not either.
I'm sure the players are used to it by now, but I'm not a massive fan of that. And yeah, high altitude is going to be a problem. I've watched a couple of football games in high altitude, and it looks horrendous. Like the players look like they're really struggling. So that is going to be very difficult for the players, I think.
I've just watched an HD Graham on the TV. It looks all right to me.
It is very difficult for the players to play in that. It really is.
I was trying to make a joke there, but it kind of failed there. But anyway. So it's been a busy show. Thanks for all your comments and tweets tonight. We'll be back on Sunday to look back at the games between 3 and 5, and then next Friday, between 5 and 7. And thanks to Graham, thanks to everybody that's commented tonight. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter, Agri Lockham Indy on Twitter, and we will see you again on Sunday here on the Locker Room, only here on Indie Live Radio and Independence Live. So enjoy your weekend, enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you on Sunday at 3 o'clock.